What's up everybody, James Duggan with IGN taking a closer look at Eichenwalde. This is the most recently revealed map for Overwatch and the first new map since the game's launch. There's a lot of really interesting Easter eggs, the whole tone is very intriguing, and we're going to pick apart all of that right now. Eichenwalde is the site of the most famous battle in the Omnic Crisis, which is the war that preceded the Overwatch game. Now, if you'll notice in the distance, we see a very technologically advanced city, which is in stark contrast to the ancient castle we're seeing in front of us, which says to me that not only has time forgotten this place, but so has civilization. The whole area boasts an overgrown aesthetic, which is kind of in line with Bastion's overgrown skin. Now, this shot of the clock shop is potentially the most interesting shot in the entire trailer for very mysterious reasons. All of these clocks are stuck at the same time, but if we play the video, we can see that they're all working. Now, what's interesting about the time that they're stuck on is it's kind of an impossible time. The hour hand and the minute hand are all out of whack. The hour hand is reading 2:50, and the minute hand is reading 4 minutes into the hour. Now, this wouldn't be as significant if all of them weren't stuck on this time, as well as clocks that we'll see later in the trailer. Here we're seeing the inside of a hunting lodge, and there, mounted right in front of our eyes, are the Horns of Diablo, specifically from Diablo 3. Nice little Blizzard Easter egg. Here we're seeing the exterior of the two buildings we just saw. On the left there we have the great-grandson clock shop, though that's a rough approximation of the translation, and what's strange about it is it's written in two different fonts, so if you have any info in the comments, please let me know. I'm super curious. And on the right here, we can see the exterior of what is very clearly a hunting lodge. Fallen Bastion units and Omnic forces can be spotted throughout the trailer, which is no mistake. This is the point of origin for the character Bastion. He was potentially involved in this battle, fell dormant during it, and woke up years and years later to find an intense curiosity in nature, and is now the Bastion we all know and hate today. Here's the interior of a coffee shop as well as a brewery. We can see a bunch of guild crests mounted on the walls and dangling from banners. One can only assume that the predominant crest there on the top is the insignia of the Crusaders, which we'll get into a little bit later. Here we see the outside of that brewery. And there is our second look at the battering ramp, which is the payload on this map. What's interesting about this is it has the exact same design as Reinhardt's hammer. The hammer faces are identical. The objective of this map is to reclaim the remains of the fallen Crusader leader Baldric von Alder, who we will see a bit later, and the similarities between him and Reinhardt become immediately apparent as soon as you see him, so I can only imagine that we're going to get a ton of info about the origin of Reinhardt with this map. There's a very tall castle, which is no mistake. This central area in the map boasts extreme verticality, more so than other maps. Also, it's a little difficult to spot, but there's a flashing neon screen in the window of that building, which seems to be completely at odds with everything else on the map, so who knows what that means. And here is that battering ram that we saw breaking down that gate. Now, what's significant about that is it says, basically, in terms of gameplay, you're going to be pushing and then capturing, instead of other hybrid maps where you capture the payload and then push it. So you get to these gates, you have to break them down by standing on the capture point, you break through them, and the payload keeps moving. You now see the interior of the castle, which has been retrofitted with some new technology. We have relatively advanced lighting over there. So while the castle is ancient, it has been inhabited since then. Here we see a computer console, and there's the same computer console, so we're kind of weaving our way through the castle now. And there we can see the mysterious clock, which again, it's difficult to tell, but looks as though it's stuck on the same time. And here he is, Baldric von Alder. This is the point of contention for this map. The attacking team is trying to reclaim the remains, the defending team is trying to defend the castle, and he is the leader of the Crusaders, which Reinhardt's armor shares a name with, and you can only assume that at one point he was a Crusader, so I'm sure he'll have some very interesting emergent dialogue options to say as we pass this fallen king. And there's everything I have on the Eichenwalde map. For more things on Overwatch, keep it right here on IGN.